Mario Kart World has been out for roughly 1 month and has brought with it a fresh new take on the Mario Kart series, with new techniques, a fun gameplay style, and the introduction of Intermissions. Now, putting aside the constant critiques that these intermissions have gotten since the game's release, there is one thing they do that changes the entire Mario Kart World experience. Depending on what intermissions you are racing on, the configuration of the track you are traveling to can be anywhere from a little bit to drastically different from its layout if you race on the track in a standard 3-lap race. Whether you're racing 1 lap on the normal track, a shortened version of the track, or even the whole thing in reverse, it all depends on what course you originated from. So, in an attempt to help identify every single different way you can race on all 30 tracks, I looked through all 202 intermissions in the game to see which tracks you need to originate from to get a possible destination track configuration, and compiled them into this easy guide to follow. So for those looking for their favorite or least favorite ways to play all the tracks in this game, look no further. This is the Intermission Traveler's Guide to Mario Kart World. Now, before I dive into every single track one by one, there are a select few tracks where the layout of the destination track is guaranteed to be what I refer to as the normal circuit layout, no matter which intermission path you happen to take. Normal circuit means you enter at the same place before the initial start line and race 1 lap around the normal layout. No gimmicks in place. The following intermissions are guaranteed to give you the same destination track layout, no matter your origin. Traveling to DK Spaceport from Crown City, Whistlestop Summit, and Koopa Troopa Beach will always give you the normal circuit configuration, which in this case is the 6-section track that brings you from one point to another. Traveling to Starview Peak from DK Pass, Sky High Sundae, Wario Shipyard, Cheep Falls, Dandelion Depths, Boo Cinema, and Mario Circuit is guaranteed to give you 1 lap on the standard normal circuit. In addition, traveling to Sky High Sundae from DK Pass, Starview Peak, Wario Shipyard, and Dandelion Depths is guaranteed to give you a single lap on the normal circuit, which is interesting considering Wario Shipyard takes you past the back entrance of Sky High Sundae, meaning there is the possibility that they could alter this path in the future and make it so you enter Sky High Sundae on a different configuration. Traveling to the Great Question Block Ruins from Faraway Oasis, Peach Beach, Salty Speedway, and Dino Jungle is guaranteed to give you 1 lap on the normal circuit. This is mainly because the only way you can access Great Question Block Ruins is via a cannon glider shooting you up to the sky, and there are only 2 entrances to said cannon glider from the southeast portion of the map. Traveling to Boo Cinema from Starview Peaks, Dandelion Depths, Bones Burnout, Acorn Heights, and Mario Circuit is also guaranteed to give you 1 lap on the normal circuit. The only difference you may encounter is the path you take on the boardwalk section before the actual track, but it's technically not part of the normal circuit, which means that your route on the actual track is unaffected. Traveling to Bowser's Castle from Wario Stadium, Airship Fortress, Bones Burnout, Choco Mountain, Toad's Factory, and Mario Circuit is guaranteed to give you 1 lap on the normal circuit. Similarly to Great Question Block Ruins, Bowser's Castle was only accessible via a cannon glider you can only access on the northwest portion of the map. And finally, before I go into the last track that fits this category, there is a spoiler warning in place, so if you do not want to get spoiled on the end of Mario Kart World, skip to the time code currently shown on screen. Got that? Good. Traveling to Rainbow Road from Peach Stadium will always guarantee the 4-lap normal circuit setup, only with an additional lap in place. In addition to all of these tracks, an honorable mention goes out to Peach Beach, which, if you travel to it from Wario Shipyard, Faraway Oasis, Salty Speedway, Dino Jungle, or the Great Question Block Ruins, you are always guaranteed to race on sections 2 and 3 of the normal 3-lap configuration. The only difference is on every other track except Wario Shipyard, you'll race on part of the Lap 1 configuration, but I didn't feel the need to include it as a separate categorization, as it's very similar to the path that the Wario Shipyard intermission takes. Alright, with the easy ones out of the way, let's go through every single track one by one and showcase how each intermission interacts with the track layout. Depending on what track you originate from, there are 3 different layout variants that you can encounter at Mario Bros. Circuit. Traveling from Shy Guy Bazaar to Mario Bros. Circuit will have you race a 1 lap on the normal circuit configuration. This is the only way outside of normal 3-lap races that you can race Mario Bros. Circuit in the correct direction. Traveling from Crown City, Whistlestop Summit, DK Spaceport, and Desert Hills to Mario Bros. Circuit will have you race the track in reverse. And finally, traveling to Mario Bros. Circuit from Wario Stadium, Choco Mountain, and Toad's Factory will have you race on what I classify as Reverse Circuit Plus. Basically, if I add a plus, it means you were racing on an extra part of the track before you officially hit the start line to start the lap. In this case, you will enter the track before the first corner of the normal circuit track, meaning you'll race around the first corner before starting an official lap on Mario Bros. Circuit Reverse. Crown City has 3 different variations depending on which track you originate from. Traveling to Crown City from Mario Bros. Circuit, Whistlestop Summit, Desert Hills, and Wario Stadium will have you race on Crown City A. This version of Crown City is the exact same as the second lap of the typical 3-lap circuit around Crown City, and mainly consists of you traveling on the high-rise buildings. Traveling to Crown City from DK Spaceport, Koopa Troopa Beach, and Faraway Oasis, however, will have you race on Crown City B. This version of Crown City takes you down the skate park and the alleys, both of which are a part of the first lap of Crown City's normal circuit. Finally, traveling to Crown City from Peach Stadium, Moo Moo Meadows, and Choco Mountain will take you on Crown City C, which comprises of the seaside and the beach. And just like the last 2 variants, this version takes direct inspiration from the 3rd lap of Crown City's normal circuit. Except the beach is not actually part of Crown City at all in the normal circuit variation, which begs the question, why the heck is it here? Depending on your origin track, there are 2 versions of Whistlestop Summit. Traveling to Whistlestop Summit from Crown City and DK Spaceport will put you on the normal circuit configuration, having you enter the track at the first stretch where the start-finish line is. However, traveling to Whistlestop Summit from Mario Bros. Circuit, Desert Hills, and Choco Mountain will send you on a normal Circuit Plus route, where you'll enter the track right before the final hairpin corner, meaning there is a chance you can take the final grass shortcut if you so wish. There are 2 different versions of Desert Hills you can race on depending on your origin track. Like Mario Bros. Circuit, traveling to Desert Hills from Shy Guy Bazaar will have you race a single lap on the normal circuit configuration. Again, outside of 3-lap versions or Grand Prix, this is the only way you can race Desert Hills in the correct direction. Meanwhile, traveling to Desert Hills from Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Whistlestop Summit, and DK Spaceport will have you race on the track in the reverse direction for 1 lap. There are 2 different versions of Shy Guy Bazaar you can encounter depending on your origin track. Traveling to Shy Guy Bazaar from Mario Bros. Circuit, Desert Hills, and Choco Mountain will have you race 1 lap on the normal circuit configuration. However, traveling to Shy Guy Bazaar from Wario Stadium and Airship Fortress will have you race on the secret Shy Guy Bazaar B track, which takes you through Daisy's Palace in an alternate route. There are 3 different layouts that you can encounter at Wario Stadium. Traveling to Wario Stadium from Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Shy Guy Bazaar, and Choco Mountain will have you race on the normal circuit configuration of the track. Alternatively, traveling to Wario Stadium from Airship Fortress and Toad's Factory will put you on a normal Circuit Plus variation. The only difference being that you will enter in via a glider section and glide down the main stretch of the original track before turning into what is considered the normal circuit path. And if that's not enough change for you, traveling to Wario Stadium from Bones Burnout or Bowser's Castle will have you race on the track in reverse. Surprisingly, there are 2 different versions of Airship Fortress you can encounter depending on which track you travel from. Traveling to Airship Fortress from Wario Stadium, Bones Burnout, Toad's Factory, and Bowser's Castle will have you race on the normal circuit configuration, as you'll glide in at the back of the final corner. However, due to the location of Guy Bazaar, traveling from that track is actually considered a normal circuit plus route, as you'll travel on the bow of the airship before traveling underneath the main stretch and turning around at the tower to hit the start-finish line. This route is similar to that of the Heart Rally route, except at the end of the main stretch, you're turning right to access the tower. There are two different versions of DK Pass you can encounter depending on your origin track. Traveling to DK Pass from Starview Peak, Sky High Sundae, Cheep Falls, Dandelion Depths, or Moo Moo Meadows will always result in one lap on the normal circuit configuration. However, traveling to DK Pass from Wario Shipyard and Salty Speedway will have you race the circuit one lap in the reverse direction. There are two different versions of Wario Shipyard you can race on depending on your origin track. Traveling to Wario Shipyard from DK Pass, Starview Peak, Sky High Sundae, Salty Speedway, and Cheep Falls will have you race on the normal circuit configuration for one lap. However, traveling to Wario Shipyard from Peach Beach will have you race on the normal circuit plus configuration, having you enter the track right after the Wario Cave and taking the waterway exclusively to the main start-finish line. This route is similar to that of the Spiny Rally route you take into Wario Shipyard. There are two different configurations for Koopa Troopa Beach, both of which are easily identifiable by the direction you're coming from. If you're coming from the east, that being Faraway Oasis, Peach Stadium, Dino Jungle, or the Great Question Block Ruins, you'll race one lap around Koopa Troopa Beach in the normal circuit configuration. However, if you travel from the west, that being Crown City, Whistlestop Summit, DK Spaceport, and Desert Hills, you'll instead race around Koopa Troopa Beach in the reverse direction for one lap. There are two different versions of Faraway Oasis that you can race on depending on the track you originate from. If you originate from Crown City, Koopa Troopa Beach, Peach Stadium, Dino Jungle, and Cheep Falls, you'll race one singular lap around the normal circuit variation of Faraway Oasis. However, if you approach Faraway Oasis from Peach Beach, Salty Speedway, or the Great Question Block Ruins, you'll go on a normal circuit plus configuration, taking a jump ramp that will lead you onto the waterfall section at the end of the track, allowing you to traverse the final hairpin turn. Peach Stadium has the most amount of alternate routes, with 4 possible variations depending on your origin track. Traveling to Peach Stadium from Moo Moo Meadows, Toad's Factory, and Mario Circuit is guaranteed to give you the normal circuit configuration. However, traveling to Peach Stadium from DK Spaceport and Koopa Troopa Beach will lead you onto an alternate entrance to the normal circuit, having you jump onto the track around the first corner's position, meaning you will skip the first corner shortcut that is famous in this game. As for the other two layouts, traveling to Peach Stadium from Crown City or Choco Mountain will have you race on Peach Stadium B, which is the stadium arena on the lower level of the circuit, but only with left turns. Think of it as a makeshift baby park. And if left isn't your style, then you're in luck. Traveling to Peach Stadium from Faraway Oasis or Cheep Falls will have you race on the same Peach Stadium arena track with right turns only. These two are the dumbest tracks in this entire game. Why did they do this? There are 3 different variations of Salty Speedway you can encounter depending on your origin track. Traveling to Salty Speedway from any other track in the Banana Cup, that being Peach Beach, Dino Jungle, and Great Question Block Ruins, will have you race on the normal circuit configuration for one lap, having you enter the track right by the start-finish line. However, traveling to Salty Speedway from DK Pass, Sky High Sundae, or Wario Shipyard will have you race on one of 2 versions of a normal circuit plus, In version 1, you'll enter around under the waterfall section and turn into the main canal before reuniting with the main track layout to hit the start-finish line. Meanwhile, traveling from Faraway Oasis and Cheep Falls to Salty Speedway will have you race on normal circuit plus version 2, which will have you glide down the canal down to the start-finish line. There are 2 different versions of Dino Jungle you can encounter depending on which track you originate from. Traveling to the track from Faraway Oasis, Peach Beach, Salty Speedway, and the Great Question Block Ruins will have you race 1 lap on the normal circuit configuration. However, traveling to Dino Jungle from Koopa Troopa Beach will actually have you enter into the track via an alternate entrance leading you to the main circuit. Compared to the other tracks, you'll enter the track and cross the start-finish line in the reverse direction, before heading up the incline and taking an abrupt left turn before going over the bridge, leading you over toward the boardwalk section where you'll reunite with the normal circuit. Now, this could fit the definition of both reverse circuit and normal circuit plus. However, the minimap for the track doesn't show up until you actually cross into the boardwalk section, meaning in my definition, this counts as an alternate entrance to the normal circuit. There are 2 different versions of Cheep Falls you can race on depending on which track you originate from. Traveling to Cheep Falls from, DK Pass, Starview Peak, Sky High Sundae, Wario Shipyard, Faraway Oasis, Peach Stadium, Salty Speedway, Moo Moo Meadows, and Choco Mountain will all give you the normal circuit configuration, having you join the track at the end of the final hairpin turn. However, traveling to Cheep Falls from Dandelion Depths will actually insinuate a normal circuit plus variation, where instead you'll head down the main waterfall section of the circuit a second time. This route is very similar to that of what you take in the Moon Rally from traveling from Dandelion Depths to Cheep Falls. There are also 2 different versions of Dandelion Depths you can encounter depending on which track you originate from. If you travel to Dandelion Depths from DK Pass, Starview Peak, Sky High Sundae, Cheep Falls, Boo Cinema, Moo Moo Meadows, Toad's Factory, and Mario Circuit, you will always enter via this ramp and complete 1 lap on the normal circuit. However, traveling to Dandelion Depths from Acorn Heights will actually be considered a normal circuit plus variation, as you'll actually enter the track via the so-called Dandelion Depths and head up the high incline to hit the start-finish line. There are 3 different layouts for Dry Bones Burnout you can encounter depending on which track you originate from. Traveling to Dry Bones Burnout from Acorn Heights will always result in 1 lap on the normal circuit configuration. However, traveling to Dry Bones Burnout from Wario Stadium, Boo Cinema, Moo Moo Meadows, Toad's Factory, Bowser's Castle, and Mario Circuit technically counts as a normal circuit plus configuration, as you actually head down the final stretch of the normal circuit. Now, this definition can get a bit murky, but I classify it as this because the route from Acorn Heights does not take this same stretch. It instead joins the track at an abrupt right turn before the start-finish line. Meanwhile, the 6 tracks mentioned all take this exact same route down the main corridor. It's up to you on how you want to define it, but this is my personal definition as experience from doing all 30 of these tracks. Alternatively, if the main start-finish line isn't to your liking, traveling to Dry Bones Burnout from Airship Fortress will lead you on an alternate entrance into the normal circuit, having you skip around the first corner of the main normal circuit. This route that you take from Airship Fortress is similar to that of what you take for the Heart Rally route. There are 3 different versions of Moo Moo Meadows that you can encounter depending on which track you start from. Traveling to Moo Moo Meadows from Crown City, Choco Mountain, or Toad's Factory will always result in a single lap on the normal circuit configuration. However, traveling to Moo Moo Meadows from DK Pass, Dandelion Depths, Dry Bones Burnout, and Mario Circuit will have you take a normal circuit plus configuration, where you'll enter in around the top part of the track and travel through the middle of the track in order to reach the start-finish line to begin the final lap. And finally, traveling to Moo Moo Meadows from Peach Stadium and Cheep Falls will have you race on the track in the reverse direction for 1 lap. There are 3 different layouts of Choco Mountain that you can encounter depending on your origin track. Traveling to Choco Mountain from Crown City, Peach Stadium, Cheep Falls, and Moo Moo Meadows will always result in you racing on the normal circuit configuration. Meanwhile, traveling to Choco Mountain from Toad's Factory will have you race on a normal circuit plus configuration, where you'll enter the track before the final incline section and be able to take the 3 jumps at the end of the track before starting the final lap. And finally, traveling to Choco Mountain from Mario Bros. Circuit, Whistlestop Summit, Guy Bazaar, Wario Stadium, and Bowser's Castle will lead you on an alternate entrance to the normal circuit, which...
Oh my goodness! Squidward!
Yeah, I don't know who at Nintendo has beef with Choco Mountain, but why did we make it so you skip half of the track if you're traveling to Choco Mountain from these 5 tracks? There definitely must have been a better way to do this, but Nintendo just opted for this option instead. There are 3 different versions of Toad's Factory you can encounter depending on which track you originate from. Traveling to Toad's Factory from Mario Bros. Circuit, Peach Stadium, Moo Moo Meadows, or Choco Mountain will have you race on the normal circuit configuration, having you cross over this bridge... having you cross over this... God damn it. Having you cross over this bridge and head onto the normal circuit configuration. However, traveling to Toad's Factory from Dandelion Depths and Mario Circuit will have you race on a normal circuit plus configuration, where you actually travel over the factory and head through the last corner of the normal circuit one more time before traveling to the start-finish line. And lastly, traveling from Wario Stadium, Airship Fortress, Bones Burnout, Bowser's Castle, and Acorn Heights to Toad's Factory will have you take an alternate entrance to the normal circuit, which drops you off right at the first corner. Depending on which track you originate from, there will be a different ramp and a different style turn. From Wario Stadium, Airship Fortress, and Bowser's Castle, you'll go on an S-bend, while Bones Burnout and Acorn Heights have a boring left turn. There are 2 different versions of Acorn Heights that you can encounter depending on which track you originate from. Traveling to Acorn Heights from Dandelion Depths, Boo Cinema, or Mario Circuit will have you race on the normal circuit configuration, dropping you off right after the final S-bend. However, traveling to Acorn Heights from Toad's Factory and Bones Burnout will have you race on a normal circuit plus configuration, where you'll enter the track after the final hairpin and head up the final major part of the track before hitting the start-finish line, so you can practice and inevitably fail your vine shortcuts. And last but certainly least, there are 4 different versions of Mario Circuit you can encounter depending on which track you originate from. Traveling to Mario Circuit from Acorn Heights was always guaranteed to give you the normal circuit layout, which I refer to as the Mario Circuit Medley, where you take 1 lap on each version of Mario Circuit. Traveling to Mario Circuit from Boo Cinema is always guaranteed to give you 1 lap on Mario Circuit 1. Meanwhile, traveling to Mario Circuit from Bones Burnout, Toad's Factory, and Bowser's Castle is always guaranteed to give you 1 lap on Mario Circuit 2. And finally, traveling to Mario Circuit from Starview Peak, Dandelion Depths, and Moo Moo Meadows will always guarantee 1 lap on Mario Circuit 3. Technically, if you wanted to be specific, this is a Mario Circuit 3 Plus, as you have to take the final shortcut and final turn, but I'm not going to get technical with that, and I really don't care. And that is every intermission and every configuration of every track in Mario Kart World, as of version 1.1.2. Now, if for some reason Nintendo sends out an update adding or changing these intermission routes, or if there were any routes I got wrong in this video, feel free to leave a comment below informing me. Any minor updates or fixes will be mentioned in the description, and if there is any major changes, then I'll make a follow-up video at a later date. Speaking of the description, also in the description will be an easy, quick access Google Sheet that has all the information from this video in a more simplified format. This includes every intermission for every track, how said intermissions affect the configuration of the destination track, and notes on what certain configurations like normal circuit plus or alternate entrance mean for every track. Again, this sheet will be updated if future game updates add any more intermissions, or if any mistakes or reclassifications are needed down the road. But that is the Intermission Traveler's Guide to Mario Kart World. Hopefully this video was helpful to those who like or are forced to race on intermissions. Looking at you, Nintendo. To those who stuck it out to the very end, thank you so much for watching this entire video, and I hope this video was as informative to you as it was for me when I was making it. And hey, hopefully down the road, this video does become outdated and more intermissions and more different course layouts are added in the future. But for now, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all for watching. My name has been Bowsy, and till we meet again, have yourself a good one. Okay, but in all seriousness, Peach Stadium B and Peach Stadium C are the dumbest tracks in this game. It is a literal paperclip. It's worse than Baby Park. At least on Baby Park, you could race 5 laps. No, this was just a single goddamn paper.